Autumn. She says, I think Samson was physically strong but spiritually vulnerable. How do you guys think Delilah exposed the true nature of this weakness? Right
Yeah.
on money with the questions here.
Yeah, I agree with Autumn. I do think that because it's a repeated behavior that they saw from Samson. He was always succumbing to the desires of women. So the Philistine knew that they couldn't beat him through strength, but they could beat him through being agile into getting into his heart. And I do believe that that was the key moment when they understood that it wasn't even his hair, his vulnerability, but was his heart, getting into his heart.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and
He was in love with her.
well, also the Philistine king saw that when he was enraged, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then that was the trigger moment of when I do think that Samson really exposed his real vulnerability. And like I said, God and God shows us that that when you journey with Him, He covers your vulnerability like Christ does, right? Like we can't be without sin. But when you walk with Christ, you're vindicated because you're walking with Christ that has no sin. But it's not because of you or what actions you do that are going to vindicate you with God. No, it's through the Lord that does. And I think that's what Samson chose the wrong partner. You had Jesus, God in one side, and you had Delilah, and he chose Delilah as that to journey through that spiritual journey uh, in a way. And I do think that that's a good question. What are your thoughts, Kevin?
I liked it. I like it because with that, it's. I think Delilah is the fault for Samson's vulnerability, but then Samson is also the fault for his own vulnerability as well. Samson has accountability for his own parts where he can't fall into the traps of certain things,
Mm.
right? And he fell into that trap of it. Like Samson's
But he almost set up the trap for himself.
he did set up the trap for himself. He knew he was entering into Philistine gates. Like even when he went to Philistine and he met up with Delilah, like the Philistines knew. Like he entered their town and they closed the town
Hmm.
for him. They're like, Samson is here, Samson is here, but they didn't do it out of fear, right? Because they had a whole setup that
Set up.
was going
Yeah,
on.
yeah. You're right. You're right.
So in that they were just they set him up for it. Like his own vulnerability came from himself, and for him to think like he's stronger than that, like it's so hard, right? And I like what you said about like the race he had in the beginning. That was like his first vulnerable sign. Like that was like a good vulnerable sign because that goes down to like strategy. Like how do you strategize to take down the biggest man,
Mhm.
right? Or the man
And
that killed 1,000 of your soldiers. Like that's a threat, right? That's a threat to the
of
Philistines.
course, and but what's important also is like you see through the Bible that also you see that his family understands his vulnerability. So it's not exposed externally, but God is showing us that our behaviors, like we internalize our behaviors and habits, and those that know us well understand our vulnerability, but they're not exposed. And Samson goes through that process too. Like his mom knows his vulnerability, the people, the Israelites that are looking for him know his vulnerabilities, but yet the Philistines can't figure that out because it's kept in secret.
Mm.
And then, but then when it externalizes, when information gets into the wrong hands, it can be exploited. And you can see the difference between the Israelites' behavior of like protecting Samson, right? Because that's God's people and God is there, versus the Philistine that are destructive, right? When that information get into their hands, what did they use it for?
Yeah, they use it to like to take him down. Like that is tough.
Well, I also think, and this is going more of a to think about like his physical appearance because this guy is supposed to be muscular, tall, like he was probably a women magnet too. Like many women probably look at him very appealing, and he probably never worked his spirit to become strong to not be that. I would say like that superstar that women saw him and they were like just throwing themselves to him.
He was like the Fabio of the time.
Yeah, he was a Fabio with the long hair, bro.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, like I put myself like I can imagine because of his stature and just his look and muscles, he must have been attracting a lot of women.
Yeah, right. That's where you have to really set up your defenses as a man for it, right? Like set up your defenses as the man. It's important because that's that's you exposing your vulnerabilities. You choose your partner, and when you choose your partner, your vulnerabilities do get exposed, and your partner is gonna know the ins and outs of you. Like especially if they're like, yeah, if you have the right partner, they know they're gonna know that in and out, and they're gonna protect your vulnerability or they're gonna exploit your vulnerability for their own benefit. So they're gonna exploit it for other people's benefits, like Delilah exploited Samson's benefit for the Philistines.
Yeah, and
Like,
she sold him to the Philistines because they had a treaty.
yeah, but it's so hard to like. Why was Samson even believe her too? Because she just sells herself anyway, right? Like it's already in that type of person to already do something just like that. Like,
Mhm.
why would you even like that's all faults on Samson's because one, you're
Mhm.
like you're with the prostitute, so she's already selling herself or her body, right? Like that's there. You can't trust that, right? Like how can you trust that? Two, if she sells herself to Samson, she's gonna sell herself also to the army and sell herself to information, sell herself all for that. So like that's bad. And like Samson should have read all those.
Signs.
Yeah, he should have read those signs and obeyed God. But that's what comes when you don't obey God, right? Like that's ball in a sense.
But
Exist. I'm trying to coexist. Exist. Yeah, I'm trying to coexist. Exist. I'm trying to coexist.